Way down in Arizona along the Mexican border, they say we've got to have a little law in order. But we need better relations with Mexico. Let's start with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Vote for change. Vote for the Unity Party. Today we need the American Community Party. Regarding the Mexican border, I mentioned the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. That treaty created that border. And that border really marks the relationships between our two countries, the United States and Mexico, and it has a lot more in there about defining the rights of the people that from Mexico that used to be Mexicans that now are part of the United States. And it said that they can keep their language and their culture. In fact, this was stripped from the treaty by the Senate when it was ratified. But they even said that if they had documentation from Mexico that gave them the ownership of that land, that they could keep that land. And in fact, they didn't even need to live north of the border. They could continue to remain in Mexico and still have that land. And the reason that I think that we had that treaty is, besides to end the calamities, which you'll find in the first paragraph, I believe that because both northern Mexico and Texas originally declared independence from Mexico, that the intent of the war and of the treaty was not to punish the people from northern Mexico who first declared independence from who they viewed as a very centralist regime under the government of Santa Anna. And so when we go ahead and we try to take away their language and their culture, we're being unfair. Perhaps more than that, we can develop that border with factories, not fences. Here's the Mexican border. Here's the Mexican border right here that was created by the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And these 7 states here became parts of new United States territories, which eventually became incorporated in the states. And Arizona just became a state in 1912. Until then, it was a territory. Now, all these other states, they have pretty advanced industry. We do $1 billion of trade every day between the United States and Mexico. And we can do more. And when we have that kind of trade, we want security and we want human rights. And what I would like to have, and you can look at my website, what I would like to have is an international border zone along here that our states and Mexican states could participate in, and we would develop this region economically. It would be a strength for the United States. It would ensure a strong, vibrant future for the American economy. We can bring all these factory jobs, well, from here, from Mexico, we can move some north of the border. And they'll be able to thrive in this economic environment. And we can bring them all the way back from here in China, Japan, Singapore, and these various islands. We can move them back to the United States and have some industry and some factories here. Computers, cars, green industry, you name it. This would be a great, don't you think this would be a great place to do some solar power? To have some alternative energy? If we can work together, trust me, we can lead the world. And if we've got our science and mathematics education coming from the Department of Education from grade 1 all the way to lifelong learners, we will lead the world. We can outwork China in science and mathematics if we start to think and we start to lead. So that's what I would rather do, rather than chasing people down on the street and say, you know, you look kind of like you might be an illegal alien. You prove to me that you're not committing what Arizona says is the crime of being an illegal alien. You don't want to live like this. This is not the way to develop this region. Arizona has some special problems because they're so new. They don't have the strong relationships across borders that California, that Texas, and even New Mexico have. But we can't sacrifice our entire relationship with Mexico and our economic future because we're having some problems working out the protection of people's safety in Arizona. That is a big issue, and we've got to address that as a country. But we've got to do it the right way with economic and political leadership.